Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everybody. Seems like many of us realize at some point that life comes back around. You start at one point and then you go through life and then you're sometimes at the beginning point or you have these realizations. A lot of this is connected in some regard to scientific principles. And we're going to talk with somebody today. This is somebody that has taught, done lectures. He's a speaker. He's published articles. He's got a great book, memoir, in fact, and has had many experimental eureka moments involving social phenomena over the years. He is Grant Venerable. He's our professional of the year, and he is back with us today. Hi, Grant. How are you doing?
Hello, Stephen. I'm fine.
Good to have you back with us. And this has been a journey for you in terms of you've been in the process of moving for the last couple of weeks from the East Coast to the West Coast and navigating all of that. But along the way, some realizations I'm feeling from you.
What's coming to me are experiences I don't have all the time, and it was shaped by the stepping into this new reality that I haven't experienced since I was 12 years of age or 11, when we used to visit our family members who lived in not too far from here in the Victorville, Apple Valley region of the Mojave Desert. That's the low desert just above San Bernardino, California. Now I'm in the high desert just south of San Bernardino, California, and south of this big, huge mountain, Mount San Gorgonio, which is about 12,000 feet, and also in the shadow of this beautiful, stately peak called San Jacinto, which looms up behind Palm Springs. What's happening is I'm caught between two realities, and that really makes it more of an illusion than realities, but that's what makes up a large part of our existence, and I'm choosing to use those terminologies. I'm finding two things very unusual, is that I rediscovered my fondness for guava nectar, which is a favorite. Nectars are our favorite beverages of Mexico and Mexican and south of the border culture. And it's come back to me just because of the availability of the one of the drinks that the Kern Manufacturing Company produces. And I just adore the nectar, the guava nectar. But this goes back to the first few months of my life, when I entertained my first memory of waking up on a warm summer day in Los Angeles in the backyard of my grandmother, Venerable, and awaking from a nap. And I was in this baby buggy, as we used to call them,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lace curtain over the buggy that I was napping in. And that was a custom in Southern California cities, was mothers putting their little infants out to get a little sunshine in the shade of a tree. And I was in the shade of what I later learned was a guava tree, filled with fruit, delicious, sweet fruit. And I remember awakening from a nap and then looking straight up through this lace curtain at this tree overhead. And that memory lasted maybe about 10 seconds. And then it was over. It was finished. But that memory is connected to much that is important in my life. And it's symbolized by the guava tree, the guava nectar. So a lot of other memories are built on top of that awakening memory. And another one that has come in is that I was in, as we used to say, the bosom of loving family in that backyard of my grandmother's home where my parents were boarding with her at the time and about to move in a year and a half to the new home that they purchased. And that was quite some time ago in a whole nother era. What also awakened me was moving into this very beautiful apartment complex. Its official governmental name is the Liberty Military Housing. And lest that sound forbidding, it isn't. It just happens to be the name of it. But it, too, is connected with something a little bit paradoxical in that even though it has the name military on it, its whole culture and nature are completely different from a military, what we generally think of as a military nature. But it isn't different to the people who are employed by the military, the United States Department of Defense, the largest department in the administrative cabinet of this administration. Now, what the paradox is that I recently heard an announcement over the air about the newly appointed Secretary of the Army, who announced his big new purpose is to increase the lethality of the military so that every single fighting person in the military is ready to project the most lethal kind of force upon enemy combatants and the equipment and properties of the enemy. And that is completely different from the way that I experienced living here in this complex. Most of the people here are veterans. My brother is a Navy veteran. So it was our ticket into being able to live in this beautiful complex of stucco Mediterranean-style villas, all 2 stories each, and very nice places to live, very quiet here in the desert. The peace of the desert is something that is not existent anywhere else. And it's as though my body's responding. Everything about me that has been a little bit off balance in the urban areas are coming back into balance here. So what say you about that for a starter, Stephen?
Wow. Things that come up for me are realizations that you had from your past of situations, feelings, affinities, things like that, that are now here again. And I'm intrigued about that. Things that you felt in the past are now transpiring
right.
as you're back home again, in a way, back home state.
Yes. I'm only 180 miles from my birthplace in Los Angeles.
Mm.
And so all that's coming back. And realize, well, it's really never left me. But it's so important now to be available for our entire society. And that is really, I think, the motivation of my writings. The memoir, Footprints in the Chaotic Unknown, which is really about chaos as not a necessarily bad situation, but it is a different situation. And chaos simply is a random state of reality that has a hidden order in it, governed by very simple equations that can actually teach us how to manage our reality and predict our future from how reality is going. So I'm finding peace in a place governed by the Department of Defense, which was founded ostensibly to make war. But that is no longer its chief purpose if it ever was. And I'm finding more and more, just being here among the people who live in such peace with one another, that what any branch of government is entitled to do and seeks to do under our Constitution is to find peace, prosperity, and happiness for all of its citizens and all of the citizens in the world with which it has wonderful relationships. So that's the big takeaway for me at this point of this move. I'm not unpacked yet. I'm living in an interesting chaos, but it's leading me to new order in my existence.
What is actually going on when we look at these situations? Does our past dictate our future?
I think it does, if no more than in the sense that the difference between past and future is a psychological illusion. Namely, it's the same state, and we've learned how to view it in a complementary and divided way. But it's all one space, time-space, space-time. And that was the breakthrough that Albert Einstein made, along with his predecessors like Hermann Minkowski, and there were so many others that developed quantum theory that deal with space. And so, yes, you can predict the future because it's the past as well. We've already had it. We just have to recognize the signals that tell us which of the things we call past are coming up now and in our future, and how to deal with it. And the thing I'm getting here in this 29 Palms Valley at the eastern end of the Yucca Valley is the importance of community. And that turns out to be the basis of the mission of the United States Department of Defense and all of the other constitutional departments that are here, from the Education Department, is to maintain America's sense of community. And different departments have different specifics about them, but all have cycles of experience that we experience as citizens. And so I'm experiencing, in a way, in a very crude way of speaking, a return to my childhood, in which the great adult people who were present then, I guess in a more astral way, we could say they're still here in spirit. And if we know how to find the peace that allows us to get into reconnection with what we might call these spirits, we recapture the knowledge that they had for us and that the adults passed along to us as children. And when we get in a situation where we recreate the extended family in an extended community of other families, we recapture the wisdom they had and extend it to new kinds of wisdom, complemented by our technology and whatever are our secular achievements now.
I wonder about this. I've heard this today, and I want to get your feelings on this. Somebody said, and I believe in this, there's no real coincidences. And they said, no, it's not coincidences. If you take a look at it, it's coinciding incidents. If you break the word down. And I'm curious about what you feel about that.
I resonate with that very strongly. Coinciding. What did you say? Coinciding what?
Incidents.
Okay, I thought that's what you said. Coinciding incidents.
Meaning there's events that take place at the same time, and they are incidents. but there's a reason that they are taking place at the at the same time.
At the same time. At the same time. And I studied a lot about that in UCLA days and my junior and senior years in quantum chemistry, quantum physics. And we discussed many spaces that are, we could call coinciding spaces as well. And that time and space have a relationship described by Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. It sets restrictions as well as delimitations on the relationship between space and time. Another one is energy. Energy and the time that an atom or molecule exists in that energy state. And then there's others like the velocity of a particle and the position of a particle that Heisenberg's principle says we cannot know those two things exactly at the same instance, the same coinciding instant, because you can only know one or the other at any given moment because of the existence of the photon, the little particle of light, which is the main way we have to measure the position of an elementary particle like an electron, or the velocity of an electron. But you can't know both at the same time. That's where the uncertainty comes from. But it's through that uncertainty we develop a new kind of certainty that extends our ability to manage our existence. Using uncertainty to master certainty. It's paradoxical.
Interesting. Wow. What's your takeaway from this move in your life? And yeah, like many of us, you've moved a few times. What's the first thing comes up for you, Grant? Now that you're there, you're less than 200 miles away from your birthplace. You were on the other side of the country. What's your takeaway?
My takeaway is that the present moment experience is drawing me to what we're erroneously calling the past. And that it's all here together. And it came together last Friday night in an event at my father's alma mater. In the house, the residence hall that was named after him, the student officers of that house invited my brother, sister, and me back for the one formal dinner they have once a quarter, once an academic quarter. And you couldn't help but feel the excitement of these youngsters who are ages 17 to maybe 25, and then some of their older residence assistants who were there. And it was so thrilling to be around. It was thrilling to receive their questions. Please share with us, what was life about in the time when you were children, when you were in college? And I think that's what excited and motivated us, and excited and motivated them, because that doesn't happen every day. It isn't many colleges that you can go to. And my goodness, my brain got lost in space here for a moment.
Well, not many places where you can have that realization, where actually people want to learn from your experience.
They want to learn.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the meal was excellent, but it was the higher communication that we were having amongst ourselves. And I was able to tell one young man who was the president of the residence hall, who looks like one of the great scientists of my day, who was a UCLA graduate named Glenn Seaborg. Glenn Seaborg won the Nobel Prize in chemistry back, I don't know, in the 1960s perhaps. But he's passed on a long time ago, but he was contemporary with many of my professors. And this young man looked very much like Seaborg. And I've learned how to share in that way. I said, my friend, I have something to tell you. You look like one of the great scientists of my day, who were contemporaries of my teachers. And his name was Glenn Seaborg. And he just broke out into a great smile on his face. Just the association was so important to him. And then I showed him on my cell phone. I was able to call up a photo of Seaborg at just about the same age this young man is, and he broke into another big smile. He says, yes, I see it. I see the resemblance.
That's got to make you feel good to help somebody with make that discovery.
It's a discovery moment, and that's one of the main roles of a teacher and a teaching school, whether it's elementary school or college, university, whether it's a small school or a great and mighty school. So all that's been coming up on this so far in my visit. I haven't been here 2 weeks yet, but I'm excited to get out and about and be with community. That's really what it's about.
What's
that's kind of an
what's ultimate, on? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Kind of an ultimate paradox that I came here and I met up with the reality of the military as an organization, as a bringer of peace on planet Earth.
What is on your radar for something that you want to do? Some of the first things that you want to do now that you're there?
I want to get more involved with our family of brother and sister and me, putting together a retreat center here in the desert, just a few miles from one of the greatest black night zones in the country, and to be able to bring students out here to this zone for retreats, to talk about what but the universe and oneself, one's family, one's group, one's school, in the harmony of this great space-time called the universe, where clusters of stars seem to just drop right out of the sky. There's so many stars up there. They used to think there were more stars, but now they think we're down to like only 100 trillion stars. I think that's the number that's quoted. Anyway, I can't tell a trillion from a billion, and it doesn't matter. It just means there's a heck of a lot of them.
There's only one you. And I love your eye on things through the lens of science. And a lot of these teachings, it's been around for a long time, and it's only in recent years that people are finally having a new view of things. Your memoir kind of says it all: Footprints in the Chaotic Unknown. And if you do a search, you can find that on Amazon and many other places as well.
Yes.
It's a great book, great insight about your journey, which continues. As a matter of fact, your journey to the West Coast continues. Grant,
that's right.
Always having you on here is a joy. Just the insight and validates a lot of things I wonder about, and I appreciate it.
Well, I was hoping we'd have that kind of experience this morning or afternoon, whatever time it is.
Yep. Well, I wish you all the best, and I'm sure you got boxes to unpack. And
okay,
we'll catch up next time we get together.
Okay, thank
Great.
you, Stephen.
Thank you. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.